I'm going to give you just a little kind of forewarning that the next two lessons in our chapter are sometimes the most difficult lessons for students in this whole year. Here they are right away in chapter 1. And so your next quiz only covers the next two lessons also. It's over this lesson and the next one, and they can be challenging. So what we do in class is not going to be enough, probably. You are going to have to give yourself, a push. You're going to have to say, I need to study some of this on my own, do some of my own practice. Notice I didn't have USQ3R this one, but can you USQ3R it? Where would you do that at? In your notebook at home or in a study hall or wherever. Your notes today are a handout. Okay? We will work together on this. Any notes you take can be done in your notebook. Okay, so again, put your thinking caps on. And here's the deal. If you can just keep in mind everything that I've taught you and other math teachers have taught you so far about solving equations, we really have the skills to do this. But what's weird about it is our answers turn out kind of crazy. So far our answers have turned out to be something like x equals -2 or y equals 4. And that makes sense to us. But today our answers are going to look weird. I mean, honestly, you're going to be all done with it and you're going to be like, this is my answer? I don't think so. It doesn't look very good. So what we're going to actually be doing is still solving for a variable, like x equals 3, we solve for a variable, but today we're just not going to get a numerical answer. So can anybody tell me, what is the relationship for that formula P equals 2L plus 2W? Have you ever heard of that formula? John, what is that?
That's the formula for perimeter.
That's the formula for perimeter. And perimeter of what? Perimeter of what? Allison? A square, which is also known as a rectangle. So it's just for a general rectangle, and that rectangle can turn out to be a square. Well, what does capital P stand for in it then? Perimeter. Okay, so that's finding the perimeter. That's what the capital P is about. And we said of a rectangle. Well then, what's the L in there stand for? The length of one of the sides? Yeah. Okay, well why is there a 2L then?
Because there's two sides.
Because there's two sides that have the same length? Are they parallel to each other? Correct? They're opposite of each other? Okay, what's the W stand for? The width of the rectangle, and why is it 2W? Because there's two of them that have the same, their length is really the same, what we call it a width, right? So we have two lengths and we have two widths. Okay, well, let's just say I give you this problem right now and tell you to work it. I say, if we're given that the perimeter, capital P, is 38, and that W, the width, is 5, how would we find L? If I said, get to work now and find L for me, what would you do? John?
I would take 5 and add it to 5, and then I would take the answer I got 10, subtract it from the perimeter 38, and get 18, or no, 28, and then I would divide 28 by 2.
And the length would be? 14, right? Yeah. Okay, so could we do this then? Could we do a substitution problem into our formula? Could we do that? Because I think this is it. We're going to do exactly everything John said. So I substitute it in. I say, oh, well, I'm trying to solve for L, so I got to get this simplified. It can be simplified. 2 times 5 is 10. And then John said, well, after I find out that that's 10, then I have to subtract 10. And I get 28. But that 28 is really 2 lengths. So then we have to divide by 2. So we divide the 28 by 2, we divide the 2 lengths in half, and we have 1 length, and it is 14, right? Okay. So pay really close attention to, at what point there were we really solving that equation? At what step were we actually starting to solve? When we subtracted the 10, yeah, when we subtracted the 10 right here in this step, that's we were starting to solve, weren't we? Here we were substituting, here we were simplifying, and then we started to solve. Okay, well, we seem to know the process to follow through that. So then, what if they change up the rules on us and they say, oh, we don't know what the perimeter is, we don't know what the width is, but we do want you still to solve for the length. And you look at them and you go, you're crazy. I don't have enough information, I can't. Is that what you would say to them?
Yeah.
What can you do then? When they say solve for L, what are they really asking you to do? Get the L by itself. Isn't that what solving means? Get it by itself. So they're really asking us to get this fellow right here all by itself. Oh, so we know what to do. What are we going to do first, patients?
Add 2W to both sides.
I'm not sure we want to add 2W. I think we might want to subtract 2W. Well, are P and 2W like terms? No. So that kind of causes a problem. So, well, not really. We'll just write it like this. Okay, can we do that? Okay. Let me write it horizontally. Well, what would be our next move? Nina? Divide both sides by 2. Now, pay really close attention to what I do. I don't immediately just stick the fraction bar under there. Would you rewrite that? Because this is not going to make any sense in your notes if you don't leave that red step of my work alone. That shows the result after we subtract 2W. Now we're showing in my green here that we're now dividing by 2. Okay, well, when you divide by 2 over here, because there's multiplication upstairs, these guys can cancel. Can't they? Well, what do you think? Do you think these 2's can cancel in over here on the left? Why not? Well, it's partly you know, you could cancel them and make it a -1, maybe. Does anybody know? You can't, but can anybody tell me the real reason for sure why you can't? Then there's a variable with a 2 on the top and not on the bottom. Or there's not a 2 in front of this P, right? Yeah, both of those things have to be able to be divisible by 2. When you have an addition or subtraction upstairs, every piece has to be divisible by 2. Well, P is not divisible by 2, really, is it? So you know what? Here's what we would do. We would say, well, can't really simplify that anymore, so I'm just going to leave my answer like that. The pretty answer that it is. And we have solved that formula for L. I actually like the way it looked better before, you too. But same formula, just a different name. Same me, you can call me Terry, maybe in church or somewhere. But at school you gotta call me Mrs. LeGrand. Am I still the same person though? Yeah, just, different name. Okay, now, I do want to point out to you though that there is another thing that can happen, and I want you to put this in your notes, because sometimes you're going to look at the back of the book for the odds, and you're going to be like, oh, their answer doesn't look like mine. How come? So if the answer doesn't look like that in the back of the book, maybe it will look like this. So here we're just doing the same step again. We're dividing both sides by 2, but instead of dividing the whole thing by 2, remember what we said? If you divide, you have to do it to every piece, right? So the P gets divided by 2, the 2W gets divided by 2, and the 2L gets divided by 2. They each. So here we just divided the whole side by 2 and left it as it was. Here we're going to divide each piece by 2. So our other choice is that we could have P over 2, because that can't be simplified, can it? Can 2 go into P? How about, can this be simplified now? Can we do that now? And just have the W? Just the 2's is on cancel, it didn't mean for the W to get slashed through. And the 2's here cancel, and we have L. So there's another way that answer could be shown. It might be this way in the back of the book, and you really need to know that that's So if this is the way your answer was instead of the other way, you could be like, oh, I really do still have the right answer. Okay, now I just want us to see that in reality here we still have the perimeter formula, just rearranged. It's still the perimeter formula, just rearranged. So if we use the formula this way, can you go over and see if Mrs. Krebs can come over? She's just around the corner. Not this one. Pretty quick. Okay, so if we use the formula this way, let's just do it quick and see what would happen. Seriously, could that lab just work on me? Okay. Let's do our, when our perimeter is 38 and our width is 5, will we end up with the same length using the formula in this fashion rather than in the way that we had it before? So this is our new name for the formula. Here's our new name. Will it also get us L equals 14? So we put 38 in for P, we put 5 in for W, and we're going to simplify that and see if it works out. So what do we get? 38 divided by 2 is? 38 divided by 2 is?
19.
19. Minus 5 equals L. 19 minus 5? 14. Do we get the same answer?
Yep.
Absolutely we do. Okay. So all I'm showing you here is, you know what, it's still the same thing. It's just in a different format as well. It's just got a different name, a different way to use it. Questions so far before they pull me out of here? Dylan?
I'm confused with the division or whatever you did with the 38. Oh, and yeah. Oh, never mind. Separate.
Okay. All is well?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the back side and let's practice some of the kinds of things you're going to see in your homework. We can't begin to practice every type you're going to see, but I wanted to practice some of them. We want the x alone. It says 4x. So we want this alone. What should we do first? What should we do first? Just pretend this is a regular equation. Add. We're going to get that 5 out of there first, right? Undo the addition or subtraction first when you have a multi-step equation. So we have xy, that's gone, equals, can k and 5 really be added together? Is that 5k? No. K plus 5. Okay, what do we got to do next? Yeah, divide by y. X is being multiplied by y, so we're going to divide by y. And we're going to do it as a divide the whole side by y. Because we're still following the same steps as we did if there are numbers involved here. Undid the addition, the subtraction first with our addition. Then we undid the multiplication with our division, and we say, oh, I guess oops, not y. I guess the final answer is x equals that lovely thing, k plus 5 over y. Lovely, isn't it? You're not going to like your answers. You're going to think you're possibly wrong, and especially when you look at your neighbors and theirs doesn't look like yours because you both are kind of confused as to what to do. So anybody want to ask any questions about this one? We're going to get about 3 days practice on it, so hopefully we'll be really good by Friday, huh? Okay, the next one. Solve x minus 2 over y equals z. They want us to solve it for y. Whoa! But notice where y is. It's in the denominator, which means something is getting divided by y. So you know what? We need that y out of that denominator. So what's going to undo dividing by y? Multiplying by y. So that's going to be our first move. We're going to get that y out of the denominator. We don't like it there in the denominator. And I'm going to put it over 1 on that side because it's fraction over there. So I took both sides now and multiplied by y, right? That's what changed. Well, over here, the y's cancel. And we have x take away 2 left. And what do we have on the other side? YZ, right? What do you think we should do next? No, what do we want alone? Is it the x we want alone? We want the y alone, so we not divide by y, but divide by z, because y is being multiplied by z, so we're going to divide both sides by that z so that the y is alone. Because our goal is the y needs to be alone. And our final answer is x take away 2 over z equals y. It's weird, isn't it?
I like this one. Kind of getting it.
Starting to get it though? It's okay so far? This one, we're going to make this one really easy and trust me on this. Make it this easy. Don't make it so that you do 2 division problems, because here's what will happen when you do 2 division problems. You'll have 2 fraction bars, and then you'll have a fraction within a fraction, and it'll be like massively confusing. So go with me on that. What's happening over on the side where n is? It's being multiplied by RT. It's really being multiplied by R, and it's being multiplied by T, but we're going to let those guys be Siamese twins and stick together. They're going to be, we're going to undo them at the same time. So what would we do?
Divide by RT.
Divide by RT. So PB gets divided by RT. I feel like we're talking in another language here. And the other side also gets divided by RT. Because what's cool is just what we want to happen. The RTs cancel out over here. And presto, n is by itself.
This is a cool lesson.
Cool, you just like
Seems way harder than it
It's like
was.
magic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's way harder than it
It's easier because there's no numbers. You like just all the letters?
Yeah, it's gonna get
And it looks like
Okay.